Good morning, Year Six, and welcome to your first day. I suppose it is Tuesday, so it's not the first English lesson, but it's your first day on this week's project. Now, I'm really excited about this project for a personal reason, but we'll come on to that reason in a minute. So today we're going to be looking at using adjectives suitable for our audience. Who are our audience going to be, Mr. Barker? Well, I'll tell you in a minute. We're going to be using this old learning is retrieved because we hopefully can use adjectives, but we'll sort of put a tweak on it now because it's suitable for a particular audience. And why? So we can design a character. Today, that's what we're going to be doing for a story. So you're going to be creating a story this week with a message for younger children. Now, I wonder why I'm interested in creating a story for a younger child. Well, this is your challenge for this week. Yes, your challenge this week, Nate needs you. Look at his little face. Look at that little face. Look how happy he is. Yes, what an absolute dude. So he loves a good read and he wants a new book. Now, Nate, I don't know if you've ever heard of the saying where somebody, you use the saying, somebody eats books, which means that they get through lots and lots of books dead quick. So I would say that Mrs. O'Riordan eats books because she just reads books all the time. She gets through them dead quick. Whereas Nate actually eats books. He loves putting them in his mouth. So we've got about 500 books for him and he wants more. He's a good reader. So can you design, write and make a storybook for him with a message around the environment? So we're still sticking with that topic around the environment and that whole thing about being sustainable. And so that's where I want you then to sort of come up with a story for Nate to give him that message around that. But you're not just going to come up with a story from scratch. What we're going to do, we're going to do something called innovate. So we're going to innovate this story, and it's called Too Much Stuff by Emily Gravett. And innovate here, I've just taken this from Google. That means to make changes to something that's already been established. So this book has already been established. This new story's been established. We're going to make changes to that story and sort of tweak it and make it our own. So if you go onto YouTube and type in Too Much Stuff by Emily Gravett, there are around 10-15 videos of people reading the story to you. If I just switch my camera on, I've actually got the book. So there's the book there, and if I stop the share, so that's the whole book here. I'll just quickly skim over the book. I won't read it. It takes around 5 or 6 minutes to get through the book. There we go, that's where we want it there, isn't it? So the whole story is around these two magpies. So your main character is going to be a wild animal, okay? So it's around these two magpies that are designing a nest. Where is it? A nest here for their chicks. So they start off, it says here, they build it from mud and from grass and from sticks, and they dream that one day they would fill it with chicks. And then if we carry on, yay, they've got some eggs there. And it says down here, a really important thing about the whole story is, but looking around, they worried their nest needed more stuff to make it the best. Now that's the sort of idea that we're going to innovate. That they've got something and they think that more stuff is going to make it better, okay? And so while one of them stayed behind, so this one stayed behind, the other flew off to go and find the extra things they need, their chicks were really going to need. And that's the thing, do these chicks need these things that Ash and Meg go and get for them? So the first thing they go get is a clock, and then some pegs as well, they go get some pegs, a bin, a teddy bear, and they just keep piling it onto their nest. So the whole sort of message here is, do we really need all the stuff that we might have? An old pram. I mean, the teddy bear's not looking very happy there, is he? Some lights, some fairy lights as well, a bucket, a mop. All the animals are looking pretty weird now. They're a bit like, what are you doing? A bike we've got in there. He's having fun, isn't he, in there? And then finally, after that, they need a car. Do they need a car? Which may have been a step too far. And so it says here, and when they went and brought one back from their nest, they heard a big crack. Okay, so they've got all this stuff, and then something happens because of it. Okay, so in this story, their nest, their tree ends up breaking, all the things come tumbling down. and that's it. The sort of nest is broken. So they were being a bit greedy with all the stuff they thought they needed, but they didn't need it. And so then they were like, oh Lord, where's our eggs? And then they give all the stuff back to people. They take it all back. They actually then make use of it. They tidy up all the rubbish that they've created, and then towards the end, they then have chicks, and they don't need anything else. That's the whole point of the story there. Look, they've got nothing else there. Everyone's happy. They've just got 4 chicks, okay? And that's the end of the story. So if you go onto YouTube, like I say, just Google Too Much Stuff and Emily Gravett, you won't Google it, will you? You'd YouTube it. You'd get people then actually reading it all out. It's quite a cool little story, obviously for younger children. So now if I start the screen share again. Oh, look at his little face. And I'll stop that there. So today, what you're going to do, you're not going to worry about thinking of any sort of storyline or anything just yet. That's tomorrow's worry. Okay. Today, what you're going to be doing is coming up with a main character, an animal that you want to base your book on. Now, remember, our what is to use adjectives. But what is an adjective? Best picture of him in the world ever there. So what is an adjective? So you've got A, B, or C. So I want you to quickly pause the video. A, B, or C, what is an adjective? Off you go. Okay, so is it a single word that describes the verb? Is it a single word that describes the noun? Or is it a single word that tells us when, where, or how? Those eagle-eyed people would actually see that 2 of these things are the same. So A and C are actually adverbs, okay? They tell us a bit more about the verb, whereas an adjective is something that tells us a bit more about the noun. So the knife, the sharp knife, the sticky glue, the broken phone, okay? The recycled plastic pen. All those sort of things are the adjectives. So in this little thing here, which words are the adjectives? As we pause the video and just see how many adjectives you can find. Off you go. Okay, so I wrote this little sentence literally as it happened. So Nate did grab a meaty fistful of dirty soil and crammed it into his mouth and just chewed it and went back for more. So curious Nate. So the thing here is that most of the time the adjective comes before the noun, unless you're saying that something is something. So if you were to say the knife is sharp, then the sharp is the adjective. But usually you go the sharp knife, and it usually comes before the noun. So curious Nate. Curious then is our adjective. If I underline it, today curious is our adjective. Grabbed a meaty fistful of dirty soil and crammed it into his open mouth. Now, I think some of you might have then underlined delightfully and chewed it delightfully, because that's describing how he did something, surely, which it is. It's describing the verb, not the noun. So that then is our adverb. Okay, so you've got 4 adjectives in that one sentence there. So we're looking at using adjectives, and we're looking at using adjectives that are suitable for younger children. I'm a bit older than Nate, but anyway, he's reading a bit above his age at the moment. But yeah, younger children, those sorts of adjectives that we need. But also we've got something then to help you with that. So on today's PDF, the timetable that we've given you, and if you collected your resources last week, you would also see this inside your pack. Now, if I just share something different, you'll have this. Okay, now these adjectives are suitable for younger children. Okay, some of these adjectives are really good adjectives that we could use in our writing as well. But quite a lot of them are very good for younger children. Like if we were in year 6 and we said that something was long, I'd say, can we think of a better word than that? Okay. So the ones that I looked at were people and objects. They were the sort of thing I was looking for because I was designing a character. Okay. In fact, size might come into play there as well, actually, because I might be saying something that's big or small on the character. So if I show you what I want you to do inside your book using this as well, okay? Let me skip back over to this one. So you're going to, in your book, you're going to create a character for your story with 4 labels and a quick character description on there as well. So let me just show you what I mean. So here we go. Here's something. Now, I didn't actually draw this. This is something that Sarah drew, which she's actually, believe it or not, trying to write a children's book around beavers. So this is Kit the beaver. Okay. Now, she drew Kit. I just stole him and took a picture of him and put him on here. And I've given him 4 labels. Now, I've underlined the adjectives that I've taken from that word map that we've had there. So he's got an adorable tuft of hair. He's got a distinct set of front teeth. Now, distinct means you can tell they're his teeth. If something is distinct, it just belongs to that one person. He's got a gleaming fur coat, and he's got a magnificent flat tail as well there. So you're going to draw your little wild animal, and you're going to give it 4 labels with those 4 adjectives. But then also you're going to come up with a little character description as well. So to help you with that, I've got here that Kit the beaver is a cheeky young soul who loves to collect anything to add to his dam. Now, the thing is with beavers is they sort of gnaw at trees and wood and dam up rivers and stuff to create wetlands. They're very, very, very good for wildlife. And then I've just thought of 4 things that he collects in his story. So going back to that too much stuff, obviously they collect lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff, but we haven't got the time to create a story that big. So we're just going to narrow it down to 4 things. So in the story he collects, and as you can see, I've used adjectives to describe those things. Well, now these adjectives weren't on that word map. These are just things that I've come up with. So I thought of a pair of trainers, and then I thought, well, how can I describe those pair of trainers? They're torn. Toilet, a dirty toilet. Rusty bike, and then a broken shopping trolley. So in your book, if I show you my book now, let me just so you can see it and turn my camera on. There, so you should be able to see here. I've got the title, the date as well, and then here is his name. I've underlined his name. I've drawn him. Now, mine's not, that's actually me that is drawing that. Mine's not as good as Sarah's. And then I've given him the 4 labels. Now, if you've noticed, I've done these with ruler as well. And then underneath, I've then just written those 2 things here. So Kit is the beaver, cheeky young soul who loves to collect anything to add to his dam. And then in the story, he collects. And then I've just done the 4 things that he collected. Tomorrow, that's really going to help me when we move on to using the storyboard, and then we're going to create a sort of story map with us as well. Okay, so by the end of today's lesson, then that's what you should have inside your book, and you should have quite a decent idea about what too much stuff is about as well, because this is the story, remember, that we're going to innovate, we're going to change, we're going to make our own. All right, so send us a picture of your characters. I'm really looking forward to this because this is something that I'm going to show Nate as well. So he'll be looking forward to all these different characters that are coming up. And then I shall see you tomorrow for the development of our stories. Bye, Year 6.